What up, though? Welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweights live on WoodwardSports.com. I'm Easy at Spinball Rex.
What up, though?
Chris, Flannel, Sam, 5-star review. All the like buttons you guys squeeze in. Appreciate it. Be a friend, tell a friend, share the stream. Before we went to break, we kind of discussing the reasons why Brad Holmes would select Sam Laporta over a Michael Mayer. And a lot of it was based off the reasons that Sam Laporta has more explosive traits.
Yes.
He was more versatile. He could be multifaceted. And I had this in the prep later on the show, and I was just kind of like looking at the draft picks that Brad Holmes made as of recently. A lot of people wanted this draft class to go defense. And Brad even actually in his exit press conference was kind of saying, like, we need to address the defense.
Yeah.
Which they did in free agency. Allowed him to address the offense. And it got me thinking, like, and this maybe extends into like maybe a Jared Goff conversation later on to the show. But when you look at this offense and the guy that's at the helm of it in Jared Goff, what is like one of the perceived weaknesses of him, Smitty, what you'd say is?
Down the field passing.
Right? Like the arm strength.
Yes.
It's there at times. I just don't think it's there like enough times to say.
He made some great throws at the end of the year. That one to Khalif Raymond, especially, that's probably the best throw I've ever seen Jared Goff make.
Hands down.
Yeah.
And we, that's the thing is, like, I always compare it to the home run in baseball. Everybody can hit it.
Chicks dig the long ball.
Some guys just hit it more than others. You know what I'm saying? That's the situation with Jared Goff and that deep ball. But when you have a guy like that in Jared Goff, his perceived weaknesses going down the field, those vertical threats. If you're a Brad Holmes or a Ben Johnson, the type of plays you want to surround him with is the exact pieces Brad Holmes gave him.
The Yak Kings.
The Yak Kings. Guys that can make something happen in space. Guys could have those home run plays. And even at the tight end position now with Sam Laporta. You look at the draft pick of Jameson Williams, which unfortunately he'll be missing the first 6 games, but that's another piece that can do the same thing for you. You look at the same thing with Jahmyr Gibbs. And more than just the running back and doing it for you too. We're being told he's going to be out there in the slot. He's going to be out there as a receiver too. He's not going to be at the running back position. Is that somewhat a commitment to Goff long term? Maybe we discuss that as another further topic, but I think the writing's on the wall. They want this to be one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think it will be. You?
I agree. I think it will be. You look at, and you didn't even mention the nastiest piece of them all. The piece that we know of, the piece that has been here, the piece that is consistently working, who we all have proclaimed a top 10 receiver in the NFL, in Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is as steady as it comes, who gets his 8 to 10 catches a game, makes the things happen, makes people miss, has that dog in him, has the leader in him. You add pieces, like you said, Jahmyr Gibbs, explosive with the ball in his hands, explosive in open field, makes the first guy miss every time. Sam Laporta, same thing. Makes people miss, great in open field, great in space, great with the ball in his hands, and then in 6 weeks you get a Jameson Williams, who... his athleticism knows no limits. His speed is something you can't teach. And you add that to an offense of guys that you can't cover in zone because they'll find the pocket, make the catch, and then move around and make people miss. You cover this Lions team with a zone coverage, a Sam Laporta, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, or Jahmyr Gibbs. They're going to find the pocket, and you're going to get stabbed down the field. Death by 1,000 cuts. They'll just keep moving the ball down the field because those guys will find the zone, get the ball, make somebody miss, make a play. And then if you go to man, in 6 weeks into the season, you'll have to be worried about getting torched by Jameson Williams if you're putting guys on an island. So this offense, and we didn't even mention the biggest strength of the team, the offensive line. How good these guys are at moving people out of their spots, creating these running lanes for now David Montgomery, who is also a guy that makes the first man miss. This Lions team, every single player, they're not going down easy. You're not shoulder tackling these guys. You're not taking them down with one dude. They're going to make somebody miss. They're going to make a play. Damn near every single player on this offense is good at doing that.
I mean, is the writing on the wall for this? Is this going to be like, if not the league's most explosive offense? Like, they already were top 4 last year. Are they going to do it again, even better?
You know what's funny, and I think it's something that we forget about? Last year's offense was elite by the numbers. By the numbers. But they really didn't have that explosive element. I'd say their most explosive player was DeAndre Swift, but we all know with him it's always about availability. And once again, he proved that that's just not a strength of his. He wasn't on the field enough. But this year you draft Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12 overall. And my favorite stat in college about Jahmyr Gibbs was he had over 100 receptions in his 3 years in college for 11.7 yards per catch. That's a pretty damn big sample size. It's not like they're throwing down the middle like 10-yard passes. Those are, a lot of them are yak yards. And what does Ben Johnson specialize? Scheming people open, getting them in space. So I think that Jahmyr Gibbs, with not as much pressure to be an every down back, that'll be David Montgomery's job, will get a lot of plays schemed to him in space. We talk about Sam Laporta, another one we mentioned earlier. His strength is getting the ball, getting those little short passes, and just running down the field. He's one of the fastest tight ends coming out. He's got this basically the same 40 time as Amon-Ra St. Brown. He can break tackles. And then when Jamison Williams comes back, I hope that he is what we all think he is, which was one of the most explosive college players I've ever seen. And I sometimes discount this, but both times he did touch the ball, they went for over 40 yards, and one was a 69-yard touchdown catch that got off the flea flicker that got called back. So I guess the point is if this Lions offense hits its ceiling with the explosive element added, the sky's the limit. I'm talking like if they were fourth in scoring, maybe 1, 2, or 3. I know that sounds like a lot to ask, but
no,
it doesn't.
In conjunction with the elite offensive line that you think is going to get better this year with another year of Penei Sewell, with Graham Glasgow coming in, this could be, shots.
Yeah, and there was some concerns by some of our callers. I'm salty about replacing Swift and Jamal out of that top 5 offense from last year. But I think we're all safe bet to say,
improved.
Montgomery's an upgrade over Jamal Williams.
1,000%.
I can't for sure say that Gibbs is going to be an upgrade over DeAndre Swift. But I could say he's a similar player. Maybe fulfill that similar role, and maybe even more, like we said, because he could do more in the passing game. Or again, that's what scouts are saying. At least you get to see on the NFL field, but. Yeah, I'm not concerned about it. I'm stoked, not scared in that department. And I think I said this too when we, speaking of I'm salty, we see rookie running backs, rookie wide receivers, they hit the ground running in this league. And I think the same's going to happen for a David Montgomery, who's been a pro at this level for 4 years now. And obviously with Jahmyr Gibbs having the transfer. By the way, too, to Neil's point of the offense on Tennessee, I think he's forgetting the fact that he's a transfer from Virginia Tech before going to Tennessee. He's mastered 2 offenses, throughout his career, collegiate career. But the same with Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't have doubt that he'll have any hesitation or being slow to getting that offense down, because he had the same transfer from, who was it before?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech,
thank you. Then to Alabama.
Yellow Jackets.
Those are 2 different offensive schemes he jumped from and excelled in both of them.
Calvin went to Georgia Tech.
He did.
That's all I'm saying. No, you're right. They have a bounty of weapons now. Jared Goff is going to have another great year. He is. Unless something goes terribly wrong, which I hope doesn't happen, because I want to see the Lions succeed and I want to see them win the division. He is set up to have another fantastic year. The offensive line hopefully can stay healthy and be healthier than it was last year. And even when it wasn't, they were a top 5 unit in the NFL. Hopefully when J-Mo comes back, they're using him the way they should, and these rookies come in and make plays. But they have more weapons than they did last year. They have more pieces in place than they did last year to have a more explosive, more dynamic offense. And you got Ben Johnson at the helm. You give Ben Johnson these kinds of weapons, you're going to get results.
Yeah. Chris, I don't know if I can say there's more weapons because of the loss of DJ Chark, but more explosive options for sure. You know what I'm saying?
I think you definitely can, because I'm just thinking in my head, your guys' top 10 offensive players list coming into last year versus this year. And TJ Hockenson was very high. And you think of all of the replacements of Gibbs, of Laporta, of all of these potential new weapons, Montgomery, this offense got a lot better. It did. I don't see why you can't expect great, and maybe not great improvement because they were already very high, but how you can expect improvement to me is baffling.
And if I may, and I'll fully admit, I didn't do as much homework as I did with the Malcolm claim last year after watching the film on him, and I was like, holy shit, this guy's a fucking beast.
Yeah.
But I want to drop a flag right now, live on there. I think we may have already done this, but just proclaim it now that also this Antoine Green kid looks the part. And I don't think anybody should be surprised this year if he's producing as early as maybe even the beginning of the season with the absence of Jamison Williams. Now, I watched this kid. To me, No clue how this guy fell to the 7th round. Is it drops? Is that what I'm missing? The route running?
Yeah.
Like the contested 50-50 balls. He's just like clear as day outclassing defenders on to make these catches on it. They're nasty. They're beautiful. And this is not at like a fucking, sorry for dropping an F-bomb there, but this is not at like a Houston. This is no bullshit college. This is North Carolina.
Yeah.
Like North Carolina's not a, blue chip football program, but they play legitimate schools. It's not freaking.
And he did it with Sam Howell for a while, and then he got Drake May. And when Drake May came in there, you saw him kind of take off. And we did talk about when we already talked about Antoine Green. Like, the dude is explosive. He averaged almost 20 yards per reception the past 2 years in college. He gets a lot of space off the line, and he is a good-sized receiver that can play on the outside. So I'm excited for it too. I was surprised to see him go that low as well.
Yeah,
but it looks like Brad Holmes. Obviously, there's still a lot to figure out, but it looks like the makings of another Brad Holmes steal.
How much of a scouting report do you have built on this kid, Sam?
Well, the thing about Antoine Green is that I'm obviously very excited for him too. When you look at him on face value, you're like, how in the hell did this guy go to the 7th round? It's not like he wasn't unproductive in college. I mean, like you said, Spenny, he was basically average 20 yards per catch in his last 2 years in college on a pretty decent amount too. It's not like on very, very small sample size. I guess I worry a little bit. He's tall. He's got the size. He's got the explosive playmaking ability, the 50-50 balls. He's very, very good at going up and getting those contested catches. Is route running really that essential of a skill that it can take somebody who in a lot of ways looks like the prototype all the way to a 7th round pick? I guess that's the one thing that concerns me a bit, because if I'm thinking glass half full, I'm sort of like you, Eazy, that he might be the diamond in the rough out of this draft, although I don't quite think he'll be the next Malcolm Rodriguez. We mentioned this on BDE, Spenny, that Malcolm Rodriguez in his last year at Oklahoma State put up borderline Butkus Award winning numbers.
Yeah.
It was purely because of his size and maybe his speed. I don't think Antoine Green is going to step right in and be the Malcolm Rodriguez of this year's draft. But if he, I don't know, goes in, makes the roster, gets in above Tom Kennedy, maybe gets 20 catches and some explosive plays, that'll be a success for a 7th round draft pick. It wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spinny's the one who brought this stat to my attention at the beginning of this week, but in only 9 games played, 7 touchdown receptions. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, I think he can.
He makes big plays, man. He makes big plays. Well, he did at UNC, so we'll see what he can do in the league. I'm almost positive he's going to make the team.
But I think that is the glowing question too. Is like, I know that route running can make you as a wide receiver. We know that first and foremost with Amon-Ra St. Brown, not the quickest cat out there, not known for being overly athletic, but like you said, allotting himself along the top 10 of wide receivers. Maybe we'll see. We'll see this year. But dropping that flag, when we get back,